All right. Okay. So what I wanted to talk about today is several things, and I want it to be very high frequency and of beautiful light. So I did make some notes. So first of all, I want to talk about the beautiful meditation that we did this week to Jupiter. And I know most of you did it, and we got quite a bit of information from that itself because of what's coming in the way of technologies and things like that. So first of all, we went to Jupiter and we met the geek. Now, a lot of you who are watching this later on the recording will understand that I channeled Jimmy the geek. He lives on Jupiter and he works with all the quantum systems. So we went on this beautiful tour through the quantum facility on Jupiter. And as Christa just said, she remembers seeing the planet, and it's very orange, it's very gold, it's very Jupiter, if you know what you mean, like a sunstone. It's that color. It's so beautiful, and it has a real warmth about it and a real calmness, and you just feel beautiful when you get there. So Usher, my father, the commander, took us in the rocket. Dana was the commander, co-pilot for the day. And the facility even had an American flag on it. So it's all controlled by the Americans, which is really amazing because they have control of the main worldwide military. Okay, so we went in there, and because Jimmy was so excited to meet us, as you all know, he's such a beautiful guy, and he loves to be called the geek. He's proud of the fact that he's a geek. You know, he says it with love, energy, heart vibration, and he says, come on. And he was a real tour guide. It was just fascinating to watch. And he said, you know, I want to show you everything, so I don't want you to miss anything here because it's really important. And so he showed me the files on the quantum system, our digital files, and what they're going to look like and what's in there. And for the fear factor that they're putting out there, you're not going to lose anything. It's all there to the moment. And it was really interesting because they showed me my bank balance to the moment. I saw it clear as day with interest and everything in it. So it's all stored there. Banks say they've got no money, they're going to lose it because it's sitting in the quantum. It's not sitting here in the 3D matrix. It is there, but it's not here in the 3D matrix. So that is why they're saying all this stuff, cause fear. And we don't go with that, do we, ladies? No fear here.
Definitely not.
So, and he showed me everything, that any big purchases you've made, marriages, divorce, what else, government documents, anything that you have like a passport or medical records, everything's there, all sectionized. And one thing I was surprised, they had my children's birth certificates in my folder. So your lineage or your dependents that you've looked after and supported in this lifetime are also in there, because I guess they're connected to what you received through the Jasara line, you know, for your work or whatever. I'm not sure how that works, but that was just very interesting. And so then he said, right, after that, he should have showed us around, and then he took us down this long, white, beautiful corridor. It was very sparkly, and it was what I call that sort of surgical feel. You know, it was very clinical, but it was also very warming and loving, and it had a perfume in there too. They kept it very fresh and beautiful. And one of the rooms was the crystal chambers, the amethyst crystal chambers, and we all saw it, most of us, and I felt it. I really did. And it's in a room, so you could see between the room and the crystal chamber, it was like a cave, and it was all spears of beautiful amethyst, and the bed was a crystal platform, which was smooth, and you laid on that, and then they gave you whatever treatment you needed. And one of the ladies I saw getting a leg healing. And then I saw myself, and I felt it coming down my arms. And this finger I haven't been able to feel for months. I can all suddenly feel it. My legs, all down my legs and that. So it was all connected to aligning my spine. I know that because that was where my issue lies. And then one of the other ladies, that's a nurse that's going to be working in that field, she was fiddling around with everything, trying everything out like an excited child. She loved it, you know. And I said, well, we'll leave you here and we'll continue our walk. So we went off down into the main room of the Q phones and the Q pads and everything like that, which were just mind-blowing what they can do with screens and pads and things. And the Q phones are very much like I have described. They're kind of like this, but flat, and they sit on a disc, a crystal disc. They're charged by crystal power, not by battery. So which means our batteries will be going in the future. There was no cord outlet or anything like that. So it was just a little square phone, sits like that, and it's on a disc, crystal disc. And he showed me how to access all your files that they've got on the main and the operations room. And you can do your banking off it, you can do everything, your medical, whatever, your travel. All your documents are already there. You don't have to load anything up, it's there. They've been doing it behind the scenes. It's beautiful. And we'll all get one of these and they'll roll them out between now and 2 years. And then what he said, they're going to roll them out so that they use all the old government buildings, and you just turn up there and you give them your name and your number and they give you one. And I said, well, is this why they're not closing down all the old government buildings and just reusing them for the better value, for better, you know, the higher powers of light? And he said, absolutely. He said, we're clearing those government buildings out and you're going to line up and you're going to receive your Q phone or Q pad. I think the kids get a pad and the elderly that struggle get a pad. And there was other sort of little technology things there. I didn't know what they were. And he said, and also the old libraries, all the beautiful old town halls. I mean, some of those buildings have been cleared and are all nice energy now. And so that's how it's all going to be rolled out with world military everywhere. Now, the way they're going to find you is through your election roll. And this is why they're pushing the elections on the day. You line up, you vote, you have an election and you're on the list. And I said to him, well, I'm not on any list. I'm not on a list for Australia or New Zealand. And he said, don't worry, we'll find you if you've got a passport. We'll know exactly at that moment where you are, and we can direct you to the nearest building where you go pick up your Q phone. So you're never going to miss out, put it that way. So it's really good stuff. So that was that. And then I said to him, well, what's happening with all the other technology? Like we've got old phones, you know, we've all got our old phones that we're using. I've got mine, and I'm thinking about getting a new one to come traveling with. And he said, don't worry. He said, they'll still be able to be used. They fade out slowly. There'll be a time when they just stop making them and then they'll just fade out, but you can still use them. They'll just switch to the Starlink rather than the towers. And any other technology that we have will just slowly fade out and be switched over. And then you guys can share what you got, because some of you saw cars and trains and plane trains and things like that. So anyone want to share what you got? Don't be afraid.
I wanted to know how things were going to work with my service role and how I was going to understand what I was going to need to do. And I have got ideas of what I want to do, buildings I want to have done. And I was thinking, how will this all happen? And I was really fortunate. I met Sabella when I was there. So I was chatting with her and she was telling me what happens. We integrate into our higher being, our higher self, and in doing that, we'll have all the knowledge and experience that we've gained over past lives, and that will all come together to help in my service role. And she said, once you're in 5D, and as Amira said, by the time we get to this point, we'll probably be up further than 7D.
Yes.
We will able to automatically connect with those who are in the 7th dimension as well. For instance, like I'm going to need builders who know how to make structures that are also for healing as well as for housing and things like that. Because I was thinking I have no idea how to go about doing anything like that. So I've asked her lots of questions in that way, which helped me to really sort of just chill and know things are going to flow nicely. I don't have to be in panic getting things done and sorted. I've got a basic plan. Boy, have I got a basic plan. I've got heaps of them to do. My role to help, you know. And now I know it can happen, it will happen. I don't have to worry about how it's going to happen. So that was really helpful to me.
Well, it's beautiful to know that you're on track too. You know, you've had it confirmed that this is your service role. You now have clarity around where you're going, what your purpose is, what your mission is, why you're here. You know, this is beautiful. It's such a good thing to have. And of course, today I confirmed it with a beautiful channeled message for you. But guys who are listening and not in this room or don't know, Sabella, was it the night before or 2 nights before the meditation? I drew her. That's her there. So she came through, if you can see her, I'll post it afterwards. She came through and she said that nothing. She just said hello and that was it. And she said, you're going to draw me? I said, all right. And I thought she had an accent, but I wasn't sure because I couldn't understand her. And then I just wasn't clear that day. I wasn't having a great day. So I was sort of not sure of my channeling, but I drew her anyway. And then I said to Teresa, oh, I think I drew her a couple of nights ago and I showed it to you and you confirmed it was her. So there you go. There's Sabella. And she told me she's Spanish. She's Spanish and she works on the team, the geek team around the world. And look at her jeans, real geeky, sort of, you know, just casual in a boots, space boots. Yeah, she's lovely. She came through. So I'm so pleased about that. You can have that photo. I'll send you that photo too, because it'd be a nice one to put in your journal.
Yeah. Yes.
But isn't that interesting how we're connecting on these different lines?
Definitely.
So do you think this technology is going to help with the healing of the animals? How do you think that's going to work? Did they show you that the animals will have their own sort of med beds?
Yes. There's going to be like also how we can have our healing chambers in our own homes. Can do the same thing for the animals as well.
Wow, yeah. I love that. I love that. So you'll be able to do the frequency healing, you'll be able to get someone in to do the light language healing, and you'll be able to use your essences that you create out of your plant-based medicine. And this is the new medical industry we'll see. It won't be in the commercial sort of controlled industry as such. You'll have your crystal chambers, your med beds, your light language people like Christa who does light language healing. And then you have the people that come through and do their, you know, plant-based medicine, which you're going to start doing as well. And they'll grow it on their own land. So they're in that vibration of the land that they're on. So it will help them heal them more because it suits the frequency they're in. It's beautiful. It's really, really good. And I think most of us now are going through phases where we're starting to relate to these service roles. We can see it quite clearly. You know, I can see mine really clearly. But I mean, the thing is, a lot of us, as we come up to that 12-12 portal, getting it activated, which is really what I channeled with the Arturian Luna overnight. And I've just finished recording it, so it'll be on YouTube later today. But her message was the same. It was like, stand by, guys, we're ready. You're going to go to your service. And your service is after all the missions that you've been doing up to now has been your mission. You know, we have our mission, which is what we signed up for. And once that's finished, we go straight into our service to receive our true abundance, our beautiful golden era of abundance. And that comes from here, our heart. We must do everything from our heart. And we've learned some lessons along the way where people are not in their heart, and therefore they're not truly receiving their true abundance. So it's really important that we learn these lessons and understand them as we go into service. Jeanette, what did you get home? Because didn't you see, what did you see? You saw flying trains, the trains that I've channeled, the plane trains. You don't need to be on screen if you don't want to, as long as you
yeah, I'm moving around the house. I wanted to get what I wrote down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I saw it. It showed me more from a distance, and it looked very futuristic. Like they would go up in the air, like a big bridge, like an oval bridge.
Yeah.
And it was trains though. and you would go country to country, like the whole world was connected.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, I think that I channeled that 2021.
Wow.
They were a train, they were on a platform, and it took off from the platform, and I saw it flying up into the air, and the carriages
Yep.
are your little, like a capsule. You have a bed, you have a kitchenette, and you travel in comfort, like first class
Wow.
now. But and of course your flight distances are going to be shorter, so I'll be flying back and forth from wherever to come and visit people, because it's going to be more accessible and easier. And this is the start of the airports disappearing. This is why this whole pandemic has stopped flights, less flights, airport issues, timing, all that, because what they're trying to do is show you they're not going to have airports in the future. You'll go to your train platform, you'll get your ticket, you'll get boarded onto your train, and then it will just fly off to wherever destination you're going to. And so it'll be more comfort travel too. You won't be sort of stuck in a passenger seat with about 4 other people around you. It'll be your own little capsule with a bed and everything in it, and everything you need. So it's interesting. You saw them. Was it you that saw the cars with wings?
No, that was Angel Girl, I think. But I did see cars that had hover technology and boats as well. They had both. They could do both.
Wow.
So
Which-
I wonder if we're seeing at different timelines. Like,
I think so. Yeah, further ahead. And it's interesting because I don't think everyone will own a car. Like you'll either have a boat, a car, or whatever. You don't have to have all of them like they do in the 3D Matrix, where they have all your greed and everyone must have a boat and a car and a scooter and this, that, and the other. You'll have only one thing, and it'll be your main form of transport. So I think that's how it's going to be down the track for us. So there's no competition, because the competition's disappearing in that frequency. You know, we're going higher. You know, 5D is just a name. We are going higher in our higher consciousness and our level of where we want to be. And in that consciousness, there's no competition. So sports competition, stuff like that will just disappear. And it's interesting because I was listening to Michael Jacko the other day, and I don't usually listen to him because he is still a bit 3D Matrix stuff. But he came up on my feed for some reason, and he was saying, wait till the Americans find out that the football is all rigged. Everything is rigged. These games are rigged so that countries make money out of it. Everything, NRL, everything is rigged. And I thought, well, that makes sense, because that means New Zealand's games, you know, the All Blacks, are rigged, because New Zealand doesn't have much there to bring in the tourists, and the All Blacks are a huge pulling cart for people, because they do the haka, they get out on the field, it's all a big event, you know, and so that made so much sense to me. I went, that's why they always win World Cups and things. Yes, they're very good and they're the best players, but it's also for the New Zealand. They must have done an agreement somewhere where they are allowed to win the rugby and have all that. That's what people come to see, because when I first moved to Australia, they always asked me about the All Blacks. They asked me about the players. It was huge, especially with the males that I work with. It's only what they know. And everyone knows how the All Blacks do the haka on the field. That's that big thing that they do. So that was interesting. So there'll be no competition whatsoever. And our children are learning to compete, which is not how it's meant to be. Everyone learns at their own level. Why are they having to learn to compete and be put into a certain criteria or bracket in what level they are in the classroom? See what programming they're getting.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at how much healing we have to do with inner child work. I mean, Christa, you have to do so much inner child healing for people that come to you, because this is what they've been programmed and taught, that they must compete all the time, or they're not good enough to be here, or they're not good enough to be there. And I always remember my son wanted to play basketball, And it was really hard to get him into sports. He was a bit geeky, and I mean, it turned out I knew all along he was gay. Any person that doesn't know their child is gay, there's something wrong here, because I knew my son was gay when he was born. I just knew it. And it was really hard to get him to play sports. And he played hockey for a little while, and he lost interest, and he did soccer and he lost interest, and he just used to stand at the field and be the player that kicked it around and danced and carried on and missed the ball and that, And then finally, when he got to high school, he said, I want to play basketball. And you know what? They wouldn't take him into the basketball team because he hadn't had enough practice. I mean, how bad is that? Do you know what that did to that boy's self-esteem? I was so angry. So, this is what happens. They're taught to, what programming is that to the children?
Yeah. Yes.
Glenda, do you want to share your story about what happened on Jupiter for those that have the...
Well, I'm not sure.
Oh, please, that's so beautiful.
As I was, I think I got a little bit lost in space.
That's okay. That's a good place to get lost.
I remember landing, and I do remember going in, and I do remember being in the main area where it was all happening, and it was huge, and there was the centre, and there was a lot of activity happening around there, and I remember wandering around a little bit, just looking at things. Then I just found myself wandering off down a corridor, and at that point I just got horribly lost. I'm not sure, and like I was looking for the end of the corridor, and like I moved towards the end of the corridor, but there wasn't anything there. And I remember thinking, God, where am I? So I did get a little bit lost, and so that's what I remember, except that when I was down the corridor, as I said, I started having, my arm started pulsating, and it's the arm that I have actually had 2 jabs in, and that was really pulsating. I remember my attention coming to my arm, thinking, oh, that's really weird, why is that happening? But I've since sort of reviewed a little bit, and I've even mentioned at the time, maybe somehow I was in a capsule, like that's why there was no end to it, or there's nothing at the end of it. Maybe I was just enclosed. And because what has actually happened since then is that I used to sort of have a sensitivity on that arm all the time, as if the jabs, and that was 2 years ago I had those jabs, and I've always sort of felt them there, their presence, but I can't, I was actually giving myself good thumps afterwards and thinking, well, actually I don't feel anything in there any longer, like there's no pain, there's no sensitivity anymore.
I think you had implant removal. I actually think you had a healing.
I think so, and I think
it's implant removal, because it does implant a chip. It does implant, some of them implant a little mini chip.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was always aware of its presence, like I could sort of just, some days it was more sort of obvious than other days, but so I think without me actually realizing it, that's where I was in a capsule.
Wow.
So,
and someone described those too. Remember, they said it came down over them, and there was one that came around like that with 2 doors. These were healing capsules, so one that way and one that way. And I think it was Nubia. She said she was laying down, and I got immediately, it was taken off the design, or they probably already designed them themselves, the galactics, the Egyptian mummy. How the mummy is, and you can see the face, and if it's a female or a male, and it's all beautiful. The case is beautifully painted. It's the same concept. You have the lid and it comes over you, and it's like the mummy lid. Well, she was in one like that. So there's all these different capsules or med-bed technologies, but that's what I saw. And then that's what Jimmy told me. He said, you realise we have something here called the antidote.
Right. Well, I don't know whether that, it might be the implant. It'd be lovely if
Well, you're buying my book, and that's coming this afternoon. I'm posting it out to you. And in here, under the activations, for those that want my books, I did find another 10 of them that I've totally forgot about, and I want to take them traveling with me, is the implant removal activation.
Yes, the lovely Teresa has actually given that to me.
Oh, Teresa. So do that 3 times a week for 3 weeks, and it'll help continue clearing it. And you've obviously had a healing in that space. And it was interesting because Kylie messaged me that morning and she said, I want to be there, but I can't be there because I've got other things happening. She said, but I've been told I was on Jupiter last night with you, because her and I were there the night before, so I knew what to expect. And she said, some of you are going to receive healings, and we did. So that was really, really good. So, which is really, really beautiful. And then, of course, we found out about Sibylla. She came through very strong, and she's Spanish. And Bella is what? Female in Spanish, and what is it? Italian, they call you Bella. So that was interesting. So the Jupiter meditation. And Sharon, what did you do? Did you hold space, or did you see something, hun? If you can.
No, I had held space.
Yeah.
I just got altitude sickness doing so because we went so high to Jupiter.
Yeah.
So it was weird. The minute the rocket took off, I
Yeah.
started to feel queasy, was dry reaching and stuff. And then the minute it landed, my stomach settled again. It was very bizarre.
And I think that's to do with your aerial
Yeah, it could be.
antenna. You need to switch it off or something beforehand, which we should have
Oh,
done.
I wished it does have a switch.
There is a way of doing it, like I did with that activation I gave you for your meditations, how to switch it off. So,
Okay.
remember I gave you some extra lines. So do those every time before you come into meditation, because if we're doing those high ones like that, that's what it is. It's definitely altitude sickness.
And I don't understand that either, because if I'm from Orion and the furthest starseed, I wouldn't have thought Jupiter would be as far. So I don't really know.
It's the aerial. It's the aerial. So you know
Okay.
how an aerial goes higher than us? You went higher than us because of your aerial.
Okay.
Yeah, so it made
Right.
you feel a bit. I get like that just going up a hill. I can get, the big round mountains and hills, like we've got Ramatakas in New Zealand, and I used to get car sick going up that every time. And you know how your ears pop?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so thanks for covering all that off. There were other things, but I don't remember a lot of it because the others aren't here to tell us, but they saw some amazing things. And as Nancy said, she saw the cars with the wings. And so what will happen is you'll have cars that you obviously have wings that come out, and there's cars that have doors that do that now, like the Lamborghinis and that, you know how they come out like that, the Ferraris and that. So they're getting to that point where they're going to start making cars with wings. So you'll have a car that flies, which is really cool. Is there anything you want to add to that or talk about before we go on? I've got a couple of points that I wanted to talk about. The antidote is going to be available to people. In the meantime, you have to research your healers, find out the real healers that are working from here, heart. Because if you go, there's a lot out there that aren't working from here, they're just working from greed. And that's something that I've learned this week. There's a lot out there that will try and rip you off. So make sure you look for the genuine, pure angels, earth angels that are healing from this space. We've got Christa, she's a healer. She heals from the heart. You need people that know how to do it properly and know how to give you that compassion with it and understand you and listen to your symptoms, understand what you're going through. Because if you've had this, we can remove it. We can do work with it, but you must be in agreement to it. You must agree to it. You must be awake to it and understand what you've done. Anyone else have anything that you would like to add before we move on?
Was it with Jupiter that they told us we'd be able to travel to our starseed planets and everything too? Was it there?
Absolutely. Thank you. That was when I was looking at the Q phones. That's right.
Mm.
And he said to me, you can use your Q phones to transport yourself in the future to your lineage planets. Whoever you're working with, like me with the Palladians, I'll just press something, a code or something, and off I go to the Palladium planets, the Pleiades, or the Arcturian High Council. I'll get called because now they take you in your sleep and it's white. You'll be able to do it from your Q phone and you'll be completely conscious. But it's interesting because now what happens is with your phone, have you noticed when you go into somewhere like a tunnel or something and you don't get your signal? Like that, you know, weird things happen to your phone. Well, it's that new technology is going to be like that, where you'll always be online and you'll be able to connect wherever because it's connected to the Starlink. And that was one thing they said, your phone will never switch off once you get it activated. And the way you will activate it, thank you for reminding me of this, you put your hand on it and it's activated by your own personal frequency. No one else can, you know, activate it. So that was interesting as well. And it will never be switched off. And it's a really clear phone, a white clear phone. And it's all done by touch. None of these keys, and you won't see teenagers doing this. It's not for that purpose. So it's really a good system, I think. It'll be much better. So I think it's a good thing. And the screen will heal your eyes. You won't have to wear these. There'll be screens, there'll be crystal screens that won't damage your eyesight.
Perfect.
So that was interesting. Yeah, exactly. And they're cordless, as I said, they're charged on a crystal plate. The other thing I wanted to talk about, which is something that's coming up, is, of course, the 1212 portal. Now, with the 1212 portal, we've got to remember everything from then onwards changes. So everything around you changes. Your higher consciousness will change into your full service role. So be prepared for your consciousness to shift. That's why we're getting ready now. How many of you have had depressed days lately? I've had a depressed day yesterday. I felt really sorry for myself.
Yes, yes.
It's the death of your memories, of your egos, what was, what you were comfortable with, what you've known, and it's getting ready for that 1212 because you're going into your new service roles. That means if nothing's been working for you up to now, after 1212, that energy clears and you've got the go ahead to go ahead and get into your full service role. And a lot of people that are wanting to go into a business but be in service, this is the time to do it because that's what we're here to do. So it's going to be really, really exciting. But I just wanted to sort of bring that up, that, you know, we're not all perfect. We're all human and we all have emotions, and we're having some days where we'll feel depressed. And actually, Luna, who came through last night, talked about it as well. She said about going within. So it's going to be a period of going within to get ready for your service. And it's like using your energy to be of pure light, to be in your purest heart form to receive your abundance. It's going to be beautiful. So people that need to find you will find you and be guided to your light. And it's you being in service. You're putting it out there to the universe.
Wonderful.
I know, I can't wait. I really can't. So the other meditation I want to talk about is that we have coming up this Sunday, the beautiful elementals, the fairies, the fairy energy, the pixies, the gnomes. What else have we got? Dragons, getting in your dragon, Sasquatch, those that want to get to know the Sasquatch. And you've got the elves. And I wanted to talk about the elves because they've been calling me to say that a lot of us are going to be speaking with the elves, and they are, because coming into the Christmas season, they said that that they've got a bit of a bad rap working with Santa because that's not really the true story. Santa was actually a light worker And if you look back into history, I think they said that he was a saint in Europe. They called him Saint something or other. Do you know what that was about? Saint Chris something. Chris
Saint Nick.
Saint Nick, yeah, Saint Nick. So they sort of recognized he was a saint or a light worker, and he was coming to rescue the children. That's what his role was, and that's why he could go through portals or down chimneys or whatever. He was coming to do that, and the sleigh was a ship, and the deer were dragons, dragon power. And that came to me very, very clearly one day, and I was channeling it, and I thought, I'm going to have to do a video on this. And then the elves have been contacting me for this meditation coming up. So a lot of us are going to be introduced to the elves, and they actually entertain the children. That was their role, the rescued children at the North Pole. That's where they took them to. So how interesting is that?
Very. Wow.
And the interesting part about it is the sick children often see little elves. They don't realise it, but they see little elves. So that's coming up with our meditation this Sunday. If anyone wants to join us, the Zoom link is on my Emira Meditation Space page. But I just thought, well, you know, I may do a video on it. I just don't know. But it's very important for us to understand these things as time comes up to, you know, people waking up to things. And the Christmas is never going to be the same once they find these things out. That'll disappear. As I said, I've channeled about public holidays. They'll never be the same. They'll all be renamed or changed. How do you feel about that?
Well, it sounds like something that has to be done, because what we're finding out isn't what we've been led to believe.
Yeah, it's a bug. It's right. Everything's been, you know, but lied to, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, manipulated and lied, yeah.
So what was the tooth fairy? Because I never got, I did Jack Frost and I did the Sandman, but I never did the tooth fairy. I'm not quite sure. I need to ask about that. What was the whole story behind the tooth fairy? What was that whole business about coming and taking your teeth and leaving you a gift? I don't understand it. Because Jack Frost was here for a different purpose. Sam was here for a different purpose. And, you know, they've twisted the stories around. Now, coming up to Christmas, they said, don't be surprised you start finding pennies, because that's the gnomes and the elves bringing you your gifts.
Ah.
So you might
That's
get,
cute.
yeah, you might get pennies and you might get donations.
I've been getting a lot of change this weekend. Everywhere I go, even in my car, there'll be like a dime on my seat. I'm like, what? I don't even.
Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Well,
Going to
that's
a public bathroom. There's change everywhere. There's just change everywhere.
oh gosh, they're letting you know they're around you, that's for sure. They're probably protecting you because you're doing a lot of travel back and forth at the moment too. And this is what they do. They come in and they just protect us in that energy space. And I was going to say something about that now. Oh yeah, Teresa. So with that frequency of them gifting us and acknowledging us, be prepared for a donation for Noah's animal place.
Oh, lovely.
I think there's going to be a donation coming your way. And I think you need to go out and get some sponsorship now. So anyone that's watching this live, please contact Teresa. Her name will be in the bottom if you can help sponsor her animal retreat for rescued animals or injured, mistreated animals, because they need a lot of love and they need a nice home. And I know Teresa will provide that with Noah's energy. Because the message was, if she named it after Noah, he's the ascended master that will be supporting this project and the service. And Noah's true purpose was to save the animals. Any other topic you guys would like to talk about? We've got about another 10 minutes, so
I have a question. Have
Yeah.
you had anything about reveals this week? Because in that meditation, that was at the end of it, was there was
Mm.
going to be reveals this week, and I don't know anything else about it. That was
There
all
wa-
I
There was
heard.
a reveal. I posted a screenshot of it from Instagram. Someone was arrested from the election fraud. That's going to be the first thing, election fraud, and then the arrest of Biden. But I haven't seen anything. And the channeling that I did from Archery and Sicily Me, it's really close.
Ah,
Really,
interesting.
the world is about to change, as you know. But the first reveal will be the political system. That's got to come down to allow the reveals of what all the stuff that's gone on, how it's connected to government. And I don't know what it's going to be in the future. I don't think it's going to be called government. It'll be called something else. We won't have governments as such, because government means they govern you. Well, we're sovereign. We're free beings, you know, we're taking our sovereignty back. So I'm not sure how.
I have a question. Just earlier on, you did a video, Maria, of today, and that was about the new energy coming in, and that obviously there was going to be a number of people that were unable to, you know, manage that, and there would be quite a number of deaths.
Yeah.
Is that going to be applicable to the animals?
What's that, honey? That just went a bit funny.
Applicable to the animals. Are we going to lose a lot of?
I didn't get the animals. I think the animals are here to help us. They're here healing us at the moment. That's why a lot of them will be going to places like Teresa's retreat once people have done with them. And a lot of people that do pass will have animals to go nowhere. They've had a home and they need to have another home. So that's sort of, you know, families will say, look, we've got this, my mother had this dog or this cat and it needs a home. And where do we put it? Where do you put those animals that people don't want? So, you know, that's how that's going to be. But the message that I got, that's what I was going to talk about, the central sun as well. The message I got last night, I was on the ships and it was a Palladian ship and it was like that. It was a really odd shape. It's not one I've seen before, and it had ceiling to ground windows, but it also had a shield that closed that up. And then when they exposed themselves, the shield come up and I could see the whole operations and they're going like this from the sky. And it was really odd. We had a meeting and they said that with these reveals and everything coming, the 4-12-12 portal, there'll be a lot of people that are suffering and can't handle the new frequency energy. I mean, we were feeling depressed. I was feeling depressed and I'm high vibrational and I couldn't cope. So imagine what those low vibrational people are going to be like. They're going to be struggling. That's what I was going to say, Christa. Expect people to come to you for more healing in the coming weeks, because it's going to be a time when they're really low and there's going to be some that are not going to make it. There's going to be a few deaths of end of contracts, that kind of thing. So this Christmas is not going to be an enjoyable Christmas for some. It will be a sad time. And that's just as we go into the 12-12 portal, some are not meant to be here, as simple as that. But someone will need help and guidance, and it's the healers that will need to step up and they'll get a lot of calls. So they'll see your light and they'll come to you. So I'll put Christa's details in the bottom. I'll put Teresa's contact page if you want to donate to her animal retreat. And last time I spoke about Jeanette's cosmetics, which are, hello, so beautiful. I can't stop talking about them. I put your connection for your page in the last one, Jeanette. So do let me know if you get people reaching out to you.
Guess I better start working on it.
Get that page ready. The central sun. So they said to me the central sun is now what we're seeing. You know how white it is, how big it is, and the sunsets are so beautiful. Did you see that sunset from last night I posted?
And it feels good.
Oh, excuse me. It does. The energy is like that Jupiter energy.
I could never go in the sun. I would burn instantly. Like if I'm out 4 hours, I'll blister. And now I can like be in it. I love it.
And that is why it was a fake sun. So you had two suns. You had the central sun that ran all the galaxies, and that was the one that gave us our light codes. And that was hidden from us. Hang on. I don't know why I'm coughing, guys. I'm so sorry. And that came through to give us our DNA activations at this time. And it's all these activations that we've been doing. So we've been doing all these beautiful activations, raising the frequency so that the central sun can come in. And we use that in the time of Atlantis and Egyptian time, at the beginning of time, Lemurian time. And that's how we used to tell the time, from the central sun. And you had your sundial, and you were told this, you didn't have watches, you didn't have clocks, you didn't need them. And that gives you the healing and the light codes, the central sun. And that's why we're seeing it very white in the sky and pure at the moment. And you can feel the codes coming from it. It's gentle, it's beautiful, it's loving. The fake sun that we've been told to believe and draw yellow and orange is the one that burns you, causes skin cancer, sunstroke, all those things. It blocks that out, and it burns you so you don't get your DNA upgrade. That is disappearing with all these activations and the Earth ascension and the beautiful central suns coming. And this is why we're getting these new DNA upgrades.
Fabulous.
Yeah, so I got told that in the meeting last night as well. And then Luna, she channeled she said something about the central sun, which I'm posting this up. The central sun is finally closer to Earth, allowing you to receive new codes and DNA upgrades. You will go through a death of the ego, memory, and all that no longer serves you. And this is that depression I was talking about. This will cause you to digest what you need and feeling and go within. When ready, you will come out brighter, lighter, and with pure heart. So it's all about the central sun. It's here now. And you won't need to wear glasses. You won't need sunglasses. You won't need to wear a hat. You just won't burn. You'll be able to take your sunglasses off and gaze at it. Like, that's where the sun gazing terminology came from in the days when they used to do sun gazing. So it's going to be beautiful, guys. People like us that have fair skin and we burn, because I always burn, or then I go sort of a golden color, but my skin peels. That won't happen anymore. And I've already had a skin cancer hair removed. So another form of treatment when you're doing your healings is to be able to say to these people, you know, I suggest you go and do some sun gazing for about 30 minutes or 20 minutes, because you're going to get a DNA upgrade. Should be part of your spiritual practice.
Don't they reckon that stargazing back in the day was what helped to open your pineal gland and decalcify it and stuff like that too?
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's what it's going to do. And people are going
so
to
this new, yeah, that's what I was just about to say. So this new sun, now that it's out and shining on everybody, will help with the awakening. It is kind of all starting to click into place.
Exactly. And this is why I said to Christa, be prepared for people coming to you for healing, because the sun will be giving them upgrades, and so they'll need healing because there'll be all this emotional and inner child stuff coming up. So there's going to be a lot of that work coming up too. And it's really interesting when we see how it's all going to work out and play out for us, and we'll be able to live in that sun, because in this new frequency of new Earth, it'll be the same temperature all year round. See, when we did the Antarctica meditation, we discovered that that was never meant to be ice. It was supposed to be warm, like the central desert in Australia, like Egypt. It's all connected to Egypt. They put ice there and manipulated the weather so we couldn't see the pyramids of energy, which are the mountains down there. And so that's why we had to do the activation to clear it and to melt it, because it's the South Pole was supposed to be warm, North Pole was ice and snow. That's why the northern regions, like, you know, Norway, Canada, Alaska, all those countries are cold because they're closest to the North Pole. The South Pole was supposed to be Lemurian warm energy, and so they've manipulated Antarctica because of its portals, because of its pyramids. And so we had to go down and do that activation to melt the ice. You could see the portals, you could see the pyramids. Pyramids are going to be used for free energy. It's all connected through the chakras of Earth, which Greg talks about, which we're going to catch up about next week. And then we can have a panel discussion about it because it's the 13 points around Earth. The last one being Russia.
Wow.
It's all coming together, isn't it?
Definitely.
And that's where my work comes in, the land activations. I think that's probably going to do us today. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about, guys? Before we go, anything to the listeners that are listening? Do you have a message for them? You know, you're all going through the ascension. You're normal human beings who happen to be angels, star seeds, elementals. Do you have a message that you'd like to share with people to help them through their ascension or give them some guidance? Is there anything being said? I'm not keeping an eye on Facebook. Are there any questions there? Can someone see that we can help them with? If anyone's looking. Every time I turn my phone on, it makes a feedback. There's 5 comments there. Yeah. Can anyone read them out?
Anne Maria,
Yes.
I would like to share something because these times, you know, it can feel like it's very up and it can feel like it's down. It can be tumultuous, but I guess my message would be that for people to remember that no matter what is going on around them, to remember that within them, there's always light.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember that, when the waves come in that are kind of challenging, it just helps things flow a bit better. It puts it into perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You're being charged up basically to that light. It's being, and this is why you feel the emotions that you feel, because we are light beings. We are all light beings. And, you know, we are all supposed to be led by our heart chakras. You just got to get in tune with it and understand how it works and feel it. And that's why we get emotional when we feel something beautiful. We get a beautiful channeling or we get beautiful light language. We get emotional. I mean, when I was channeling for Teresa this morning, and I got all emotional and all these light golden flashes confirming it came out of me, and I had to get off. I was just having a big sob because you get emotional. You feel it from here, and that's that light in us. It's all connected to beautiful source.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a beautiful message. I'm trying to see, there's 5. I'm just going to see, but I can't. I don't know how to get the sound off Facebook. So I can see what they're saying.
Well, 4 messages are from Joy.
Oh, what's she saying?
She made it. She still doesn't know what her service role is. And she's connected to the Alvin realms. I have Alvin DNA, she says.
Yep.
And Val says Grand Rising.
Oh, Val, how are you, hon? Grand rising to you. Joy is super soldier. So she's been doing a lot of missions up to now, and she's getting ready to retire from that and go into her service role. She's also a fairy. Don't forget that. She's an elemental. So she'll be doing the fairy energy frequency moving forward with the land activations. She'll also be working in the galactic side. She's also connected to the Orions. She's connected to the Syrians. She's got quite a few connections, actually. So she'll be working with her military knowledge and her super soldier knowledge. She'll be working in the field of activations, technology, and the fairy energy frequency. So she's just got to learn how to bring all that in, and we can work on that. But there's some really cool stuff that she can work with, because there'll be missions that she'll remember slowly and gradually, and she'll be able to use that information to help her in a service role and to guide others. There's a lot of super soldiers waking up at the moment and getting their memory back. So someone's got to be there to talk to them. You know, so there's that side of things as well. All right, well, that'll probably finish today's session. We'll do another one like this after we've met with Greg and learned about the land activations and the 13 chakras of Earth. Is there anything you want to add before we go? Do thank you all for joining me and allowing people to see your light and to feel comfortable, like they can just come in and have a cup of tea with you. You know, we're all just normal people. This, as I keep getting, my platform is your platform. This is a place where we come together, we understand, we learn, we love, we raise our frequency. By doing this, we're putting it out to the universe. You realize we're doing work now. We're in service, right? We're giving to the universe our energy, our light. And so that people can find you, can come to you and ask you for guidance and for help, or whatever you may be doing in the way of service, animals, cosmetics, healing, all those things, plant-based medicine, they know where to find you, because this is how we're going to be found, by our light. And I'll put everything in the bottom when I post this. So is there anything anyone else wants to add before you go? I do think that anyone that wants to contact me through Messenger or through my email, truthofthematter2020@gmail.com, please let me know if you want one. They're going for $18. They were $20. I did order 10, forget about them. I don't want to put them in storage. They need to be out there. They're never going to be printed again, because I'll do probably a second book. But it does have all the beautiful activations. It has everything in it that you need to know to help you along your journey with the starseed. And if you want to go out into nature, it's nice, soft and flimsy. You can put it in your bag. I go down to the waterways. I activate the land. I bring out the fairies. So do let me know. And then you just pay through PayPal plus postage. And postage, hey, have you guys noticed from, you know, during COVID when I was posting the book out and the postage was so high, it's come down. It has come down in price. What's that about? Maybe the post office is going to, well, that's pretty, post office is pretty evil place too, I think, government owned. Other than that, guys, take care. Have a beautiful week. See you on Sunday in the meditation with the elementals. It's going to be a very beautiful energy, because I will be calling them in. Christa, if people want to find you, how can they contact you, hon?
They can reach out to me on my cell phone. It's 480-459-8126. And also they can go to ChristaMarie.com. And that's ChristaMarie.com. And that will take you directly to my website. And there's a calendar where you can schedule a healing.
Beautiful. And I can highly recommend you. I can highly recommend you. Christa does all my healings. As soon as I have something, she says, don't worry, I'll give you a healing. Especially with my inflammation, whenever I've got a swollen toe, because that's where I release everything, remember, she'll send me light language over my phone. She'll say, now play this whenever it throbs, play it within a day, 12 hours, 24 hours, but it's all sort of come in, it's done its thing, it's gone like that, bang, it's instant healing. It's amazing what she can do. And she's connected with the angels, remember, because she had 2 near-death experiences where she went to heaven. She's met Jesus and Mary and all the beautiful ascended masters. So that's the energy she's working on when she's healing. She's got some beautiful stories. Go and look at her website. This is how people are going to find us, guys. This is not about advertising. It's about coming from this space, remember, with only in heart. That's it. All right. I do appreciate everyone for coming on. Sharon, thank you for being at work and coming on. You're so dedicated. I love it.
That's okay. And guess what? It's 11:11 right now.
Woohoo! Well, it must be 1:11 here.
I have 10:10 right now.
Oh, there we go.
10:10 and 1:11 here. Wow. That's
I have
amazing.
7:10, which is 8.
Which is abundance, right?
Yeah, beautiful.